Thankfully, Netflix has realized how much money they can make from One Piece. Not only have they been trying to get as much of the anime on the service as possible, or brought Oda's one-shot to the screen with a short film, not only are they going to be exclusively, I think, streaming the new One Piece anime remake, but they've also brought the series to live action, and to huge success, I may add. So it's obviously no surprise that the live action has been renewed for a second season. Not only that, but the showrunners have a plan for 12 whole seasons. I mean, if Netflix lets them make it. So what can we expect for the future of One Piece live action, and how are they going to adapt this extensive series in only 12 seasons? Only 12 seasons. Well, you see, one night I admittedly had too much time on my hands, and I went through how many chapters they adapted per episode in season 1 and made a roadmap for the entirety of the next 11 seasons, just based on that information. And I've organized each season into 8 episodes like season 1, except for a couple of exceptions. Also, this is just my assumption on how they could go about the story, so don't take anything I say too seriously. Also, I shouldn't have to say it, but since I am planning out the entire series, there will be spoilers. Now first, as a recap, season 1 of One Piece was adapted as follows. The Romance Dawn arc with 7 chapters was given 1 episode. Orange Town with 14 chapters was given 1 episode. Syrup Village was given 2 episodes, each adapting 10 chapters, and Baratier was given 2 episodes, adapting 13 to 14 chapters per episode. And the same with Arlong Park, 2 episodes, 13 to 14 chapters. While this had certainly quickened the pacing and cut out a lot of the, I don't want to say unnecessary stuff because it's not entirely unnecessary, but they've just kept what they need to do. And it's turned into a really bingeable, fun, and fast-paced series. So we can expect the same for the rest of the show. So season 2 will finish the East Blue Saga and adapt Baroque works in its entirety. Episode 1 could cover Logue Town, Reverse Mountain, and Whiskey Peak. Now that seems like a lot, but they could do it in a 75-minute-ish episode. You see, Logue Town is 5 chapters, Reverse Mountain is 5 chapters, and I mean, they could speedrun that one too, include Reverse Mountain and Laboon. You have to include Laboon, so they don't take away the connection with Brook later on. But the introduction of Baroque works, Vivi, and all that can come at Whiskey Peak, which is 9 chapters. So 19 chapters to cover in 1 episode. With a bit of reworking, it would be a fast-paced and really fun episode to introduce the mission of the season right off the bat. Give Logue Town 30-ish minutes, Reverse Mountain 20-ish minutes, and Whiskey Peak another, 20-25-ish minutes. Episode 2 will cover Little Garden, which has 15 chapters, Episode 3 and 4, Drum Island with 12 to 13 chapters an episode. Here's the thing, the Drum Island anime movie taught me that as long as Chopper's backstory is the biggest focus, they can do it in 2 hours. Alabasta should be given 5 episodes, adapting 12 to 13 chapters an episode, bringing Season 2 to 9 episodes in total. Season 3, Sky Island Saga. Right off the bat, I wouldn't be surprised if we skip the monkeys, I'm just gonna say. But in any case, Jaya should have 2 episodes, adapting 9 to 10 chapters an episode, another 5 episodes for Skypiea, adapting 13 to 14 chapters an episode, and that brings us to 7 episodes. Now, there's still another arc before Water 7, and yes, that is Long Ring, Long Land. Personally, I think they're just going to skip this one. Giving Foxy the nose in the bounty poster feels like more of a fun nod to the character, that they won't actually do it in the show, kind of like Django. But there is still something important during the next chapters. Aokiji's run-in with the Straw Hats shouldn't be skipped. The reason it would fit in nicely at the end of Season 3 is because it teases Robin's involvement during the next arc. The final moments of Skypiea should be during the first part of Episode 8. Then, as the Straw Hats continue on afterwards, they have a final encounter of the season with Aokiji, who, following Robin's disappearance in Alabasta, which was Season 2, has come to confirm her whereabouts. It's a story moment that both connects back to the last season and sets up what's in store for the next. Speaking of the next, Season 4 will cover the Water 7 saga. This one is more simple. Episodes 1 to 4 should be Water 7, covering 13 chapters an episode, and episodes 5 to 8 should be the Enies Lobby arc, covering 14-ish chapters an episode. Here's the thing, the post-Enies Lobby arc could be added as a 9th episode, or they could just end it on the Mary's funeral and save the post-arc storyline to start off Season 5. Because another element we have to take into account is the fact that they are adapting the story to be a narrative season of American television. So what they see fit as a season finale, no matter where it is in the arc, probably has a good chance of being written to end the season. Kind of like how Arlong Park was the culmination of the character's story, destined to be a finale, rather than Logue Town. Season 5 will be more like Season 1 in that it covers a multitude of arcs. Episode 1 will cover the post-Annie's Lobby arc, Frankie joining, all that, the Sunny, and that's about 11 chapters. Episode 2 to 5 will be Thriller Bark, adapting about 10 to 11 chapters an episode. Episode 6 should adapt roughly about 5 chapters of Thriller Bark and 5 chapters of the Sabaody Archipelago. This will transition out of Thriller Bark and introduce us to their next storyline. Episodes 7 to 8 will be the rest of Sabaody with 9 to 10 chapters an episode. The nice thing about this season is that we have the story of the Straw Hats heading to the New World at the beginning, and then all that stuff happens in between, and then we finally get to the place where they need to be before the New World at the end of the season, and that's when everything goes wrong again. We'll also have a reoccurring quote-unquote antagonist, Bartholomew Kuma, who appears in Thriller Bark and then becomes the biggest force in Sabaody. Ending the season on the Straw Hat separation will be, yes, annoying for the viewer, but they will hold us without closure to come back for Season 6, which Season 6 will be the rest of the Summit War saga. Episode 1 will cover Amazon Lily with 11 chapters. Episodes 2 to 4 will be Impelled Down with about 8 to 9 chapters an episode, and episodes 5 to 7 will be Marineford with about 10 to 11 chapters an episode. Here's the thing about giving any more episodes to Marineford, is that this is a live action, and Marineford is basically a 30 chapter long fight at the biggest scale that the series has ever been before. So, as a live action, 3 hours of a Lord of the Rings sized battle sequence, in fact, an even more complex and layered sequence, is just not financially sustainable. So they'll likely fully lean into Buggy's situation on the battlefield as a B plot during those episodes, which is fine, that stuff is great. Another thing is that they should probably cover about 7 to 8 chapters of the flashbacks between Luffy, Ace, and Sabo during the Impelled Down and Marineford arcs. There is a lot of parallels between the story of the flashbacks and the story of Luffy's push to save Ace, which will make for some excellent storytelling to intertwine the two stories in this season. Episode 8 should cover the post-war arc, now only roughly 10 chapters since the flashbacks have already been covered. The main focus here should definitely be Luffy's recovery, and I personally think we shouldn't see any of the Straw Hats at all until the final episode. Either that, or they show us where they were sent to during the credits of an episode. Not like a Marvel end credit scene, but a typical anime-esque sequence that plays during the credits of every episode. Kind of like the maps during Season 1. Season 7 will cover a couple arcs, now post-time skip. Episode 1 will be, the return to Sabaody with 5 chapters, and then the start of the Fishman Island arc, likely another 5 chapters or so. Episodes 2 to 4 will all be Fishman Island with, 13 to 14 chapters an episode, and then episode 5 will be roughly another 5 or so chapters of Fishman Island, and then another 5 or so chapters of Punk Hazard. Then episodes 6 to 8 will be the rest of Punk Hazard with about 13 to 14 chapters an episode. The thing about Fishman Island is that it ends the hype for a lot of people initially after the time skip, and while it's certainly not the greatest arc, its biggest problem is definitely just the pacing. So quickening it up and cutting out the fluff will do wonders for this arc. Season 8 should be dedicated to Dressrosa and only Dressrosa. Episodes 1 to 4 will be the first part of Dressrosa, and episodes 5 to 8 will be part 2. There's basically 13 chapters for each episode, aside from 2 episodes that would only need to adapt 12 chapters. Season 9 will be the Whole Cake Saga. Episodes 1 to 2 should be the Zoe arc, with 11 to 12 chapters an episode. Then Whole Cake will be episodes 3 to 7 with about 14 to 15 chapters an episode. Episode 8 will finish Whole Cake and then move to the Reverie arc, which only has 6 chapters. And this is the season that the faster pace will really start to be noticeable, but it has the possibility of becoming a really, really good binge watch with its pacing. I mean, Season 1 already was, so nowhere to go but up. Season 10 will of course be Wano, and only Wano. This is another season that should have 9 episodes at least instead of 8. I mean, if every season could have 10 episodes instead, that would be great, but unlikely. But I mean, who knows? We'll see. Each of the 9 episodes will cover about 16 to 17 chapters an episode. Wano is broken up into 3 acts, which is perfect for 9 episodes, 3 episodes for each act. Personally, I can't wait to see Inuyaki do Gear 5. I hope they fully lean into the cartoonish side of that sequence. Maybe not as much as the anime, still, but I hope they just go for it. Season 11 is now where I have a little less to say, because this is basically where we are now in the manga. But the last 2 seasons can cover the final saga of the live action, starting with likely 3 episodes-ish to Egghead. But we'll see. It's still going, so we don't really know how long it will end up being, or how many arcs specifically will be after. But Egghead is ending this year, so we'll find out in the coming months? Years? Who knows? But there are theories and likelihoods of what's next. Likely the next arc will be the Elbaf arc, which will probably get another 3-4 episodes of the live action. But again, We really have no idea. We'll see. Because there will likely be at least 2 more arcs of roughly the same size as Egghead, maybe longer, who knows, before Oda writes another Wano length arc to end the series, which will of course be the 12th season. And I hope they give it as many episodes as it needs for the final season, whether it still works with 8 episodes or if they need to do 10 or even 13 episodes to end it. But I do have faith that if they do make it this far, Netflix will let them end it the way they need to. One Piece is one of the greatest stories, ever. And if they keep getting better and better at creating this live action show, and they get to go all the way with it, it could very well become one of the greatest live action television series of all time. But who knows? And if there's one takeaway from this video, it's this. Experience One Piece. Read it, watch it, it's all good, Just discover the way. And that is the way of Oda. Thanks for listening. I've been Shin Glassman, along with a call to subscribe, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.